Sit back, relax, and welcome to Reading Hours. Today's book is Sula by Toni Morrison. Please let us know in the comments from where you are watching, or if there is a book you want us to summarize in future. Toni Morrison's Sula, first published in 1973, stands as one of the most powerful and provocative novels of the 20th century. Set against the backdrop of The Bottom, a Black community in Ohio, the book explores themes of friendship, betrayal, identity, and the complex dynamics of community and individuality within the African American experience. Morrison, who would later win the Nobel Prize in Literature, uses Sula to challenge traditional notions of morality and womanhood, painting a nuanced portrait of two childhood friends whose lives diverge in startling ways. The novel is notable not just for its lyrical prose, but also for its fearless examination of human flaws and social pressures. It explores how societal expectations can shape, and sometimes warp, the choices people make, especially women living in marginalized communities. The relationship between Sula Peace and Nell Wright serves as the heart of the story, illustrating the painful intersection of love, loyalty, and personal freedom. At the time of its release, Sula was met with mixed reactions, partly because Morrison's portrayal of her characters defied easy categorization. Sula, in particular, was seen by some readers as a villain, while others recognized her as a symbol of defiance against oppressive norms. The novel invites readers to grapple with uncomfortable questions about good and evil, conformity and rebellion, and the nature of friendship itself. In this 10-part series, we will journey through the intricate layers of Sula, following the characters from their earliest days in The Bottom to the ultimate reckoning of their lives. We'll dive into Morrison's rich storytelling, the haunting atmospheres, and the emotional truths that resonate as strongly today as they did when the novel was first published. Now, let's begin our exploration of Sula with the unfolding story of two girls growing up in a small town shaped by history, hardship, and the indelible marks of friendship and loss. The Bottom was a place born of a cruel joke, its very name a reminder of the scorn the town received. Founded on a hill that white settlers called the Bottom because of its low and undesirable location, it was a place where Black families lived tightly packed, carving out a life amid the scars of racial oppression and poverty. Yet, it was also a community rich in history, shared stories, and resilience. Into this landscape, the Peace family planted its roots, a family with a legacy both proud and haunted. Eva Peace, the matriarch of the family, was a woman of formidable presence and complex motivations. She had once lost a leg in a desperate act of sacrifice, an event that symbolized much about the harshness of life in the Bottom and the fierce love she held for her children. Her household was a place where survival was paramount, and love came bundled with hardship. It was here, amidst the cracked sidewalks and small wooden houses, that two girls were born mere weeks apart and destined to become intertwined in ways neither could yet imagine. Nell Wright, whose given name was Nell, was the daughter of a hardworking and religious family. Her mother, Helene, a woman who emphasized propriety and respectability, instilling in Nell a sense of order and expectation. Sula Peace, on the other hand, was a child of chaos and contradiction. Raised by Eva and her sons after the early death of her mother, Sula was wild, fearless, and full of contradictions. Where Nell was cautious and conventional, Sula was daring and unpredictable. Their friendship began in early childhood, when the world was still full of wonder and possibility. They met in the street and quickly became inseparable, drawn to each other's differences as much as their similarities. Nell admired Sula's boldness, her refusal to conform to the expected roles for girls in the bottom, while Sula found in Nell a grounding presence, a steady counterbalance to her own wildness. Together, the girls created a private world, a secret space apart from the judgment and limitations of their community. They shared adventures, dreams, and fears, their bond deepening with every passing year. But the bottom was a small world, and even their friendship could not escape the prying eyes and whispers of neighbors. They were constantly watched, measured against the narrow standards of their town, where deviation was often met with suspicion or condemnation. As the girls grew, so did the complexity of their lives. The tragic loss of Chicken Little, a neighborhood boy who drowned, was a pivotal moment for both Nell and Sula. The event shattered their innocence and marked the beginning of a dark undercurrent in their relationship. The way the community responded to Chicken Little's death reflected the unspoken tensions and fears that simmered beneath the surface of everyday life in the bottom. For Nell and Sula, the tragedy was both a shared trauma and a point of divergence in how they faced the world. Sula's boldness sometimes crossed into recklessness, and her disregard for convention disturbed many. She questioned the rules that governed their lives, the unspoken codes of behavior, the roles imposed on women, the expectations of loyalty and conformity. Nell, meanwhile, sought safety in stability, embracing the values her mother had instilled in her. This difference, while initially a source of balance, would later strain their friendship in ways neither could have foreseen. Through these early years, Morrison's prose captures the texture of the bottom with vivid detail. The sounds of children playing, the scents of the kitchen, the quiet struggles and fierce joys of community life. The novel does not shy away from the difficulties faced by its characters, the poverty, racism, and violence, but it also celebrates their humanity and strength. By the time Sula and Nell reached adolescence, their friendship had become a defining part of their identities. They were each other's mirror and contrast, a living paradox of closeness and distance. Their bond was so intense that it sometimes seemed to transcend the boundaries of ordinary friendship, hinting at the deep emotional needs and unspoken desires that linked them. However, the seeds of conflict were already planted. Sula's growing defiance of social norms and Nell's commitment to respectability were trajectories that would eventually collide. The community's watchful eyes and rigid expectations created a pressure cooker environment where any deviation could lead to exile or worse. As we follow their journey into young adulthood, we begin to see how their choices, some deliberate, some shaped by circumstance, push them apart even as their lives remain entwined. The narrative moves seamlessly between their perspectives, allowing us to understand the complexity of their feelings: love, jealousy, betrayal, and longing. Sula's departure from the bottom is a turning point. At just 17, she leaves town to escape the suffocating gaze of the community and to seek her own path. Her absence is a wound for Nell and the neighborhood alike, a void that will have lasting repercussions. Nell remains, embracing the traditional roles expected of her: marriage, motherhood, stability. Yet the memory of Sula lingers, a shadow that haunts her life. The novel doesn't present these choices as simple or easy, but as fraught with contradictions and losses. In this first part of our journey through Sula, we witness the formation of a friendship that is as powerful as it is fragile, shaped by the forces of community, history, and individual will. Morrison's storytelling invites us to look beyond simplistic judgments and to understand the characters in their full humanity, flawed, complicated, and deeply alive. As we continue, we will see how the paths of Sula and Nell diverge and intersect, how the choices they make ripple through their lives and the lives of those around them, and how the legacy of their friendship reverberates through the fabric of the bottom itself. The departure of Sula Peace from the bottom left a profound silence in its wake, like a hollow space where the air seemed heavier, charged with unspoken questions. Her leaving was not just the absence of a girl. It was the disappearance of a force that had challenged the very foundation of the community. Nell Wright, left behind in the small Ohio town, found herself navigating the shifting landscape of adolescence and adulthood without her closest companion, and the weight of that absence shaped everything that came next. Nell's life unfolded in a pattern familiar to many in the bottom. Raised by her mother Helene, a woman deeply invested in respectability and social order, Nell internalized a vision of life defined by stability, tradition, and conformity. Helene's strict sense of propriety, born of her own experiences and aspirations, framed the world as a place where manners, appearances, and social roles mattered above all else. From a young age, Nell learned to walk carefully within these invisible lines, understanding that stepping outside them could mean rejection or worse. Marriage, then, became the natural step for Nell, a rite of passage that promised security and acceptance. She married a man named Jude, a hardworking and dependable figure whose presence offered a sense of normalcy and safety. Their union seemed to embody the very ideals Helene had encouraged, rooted in responsibility, mutual support, and community respect. Yet beneath the surface of this conventional life, Nell wrestled with the lingering memory of Sula, the friend whose wildness and defiance had once seemed so alluring. Sula's absence was like a ghost in Nell's life, a reminder of what had been lost and what might have been. Despite the distance, the ties between the two women remained invisible, but unbroken. Nell thought of Sula often, sometimes with fondness, sometimes with confusion or resentment. She wondered what had driven her friend away, and what kind of life Sula was leading beyond the confines of the bottom. Meanwhile, Sula's own journey took her far from the small town, but not toward the freedom she might have sought. The world outside the bottom was harsher and lonelier than she had anticipated. She moved from place to place, working various jobs, trying to find a place where she belonged. Her spirit remained fierce and independent, but the absence of the community's familiar faces and rhythms left her adrift. The experiences she accumulated were fragmented, and the sense of rootlessness haunted her. Over the years, Sula became a figure wrapped in rumor and suspicion back home. The people of the bottom, unable to understand her choices or her defiance, began to paint her as a symbol of danger and disruption. Whispers spread about her supposed immoral behavior, her refusal to marry, and the unapologetic way she flouted social conventions. To many in the community, Sula became a pariah, the embodiment of all that was feared and rejected. Yet Morrison's portrayal of Sula is far more nuanced. She is neither hero nor villain, but a deeply complex character who challenges easy categorization. Sula's rebellion is not just for the sake of defiance, but a search for autonomy and self-definition in a world that offers women very few options. Her actions, often harsh and unsettling to others, are expressions of a profound resistance to being shaped or confined by societal expectations. Back in the bottom, Nell's life followed a predictable course, marked by the milestones of marriage and motherhood, but her inner world was more complicated. The memory of Sula lingered like an echo, raising questions about the cost of conformity and the meaning of true friendship. Nell found herself caught between the comfort of her chosen path and the shadow of the freedom her friend had embodied. The two women's contrasting paths illuminated the central tensions of the novel, the struggle between individuality and community, between loyalty and self-preservation. Nell represented the choice to fit within the system, to uphold its rules and seek its approval, while Sula symbolized the danger and allure of stepping outside those boundaries. As time passed, the community itself changed, bearing the marks of history and social shifts. The bottom was no longer the same place it had been in their childhood. Economic hardships, racial tensions, and changing social norms created a landscape of uncertainty. The fabric of the neighborhood frayed in places, and the people who had once been so tightly connected found themselves scattered or altered by life's pressures. It was against this backdrop that Sula returned to the bottom, not as the child who had once roamed the streets with Nell, but as a woman transformed by her experiences and marked by the scars of her journey. Her return was sudden and unsettling, stirring old memories and anxieties. The community's reaction was mixed. Some welcomed her home, while others viewed her with suspicion or outright hostility. Sula's return challenged Nell to confront the choices she had made and the person she had become. Their reunion was charged with a mixture of nostalgia, pain, and unspoken questions. The bond between them, though stretched thin by time and circumstance, remained a powerful force. Yet the years apart had also created distance and misunderstanding. Sula's presence in the bottom once again disrupted the delicate social order. Her refusal to conform, her blunt honesty, and her unapologetic attitude unsettled the community. People were drawn to her boldness, but also frightened by it. Sula became a symbol of the wildness that lurked beneath the surface of everyday life, a reminder of what could be lost when conformity becomes too rigid. At the same time, Nell struggled with conflicting feelings. Part of her envied Sula's freedom, while another part resented the chaos she represented. Their friendship, once a source of strength and joy, had become tangled with pain and betrayal. The complexities of their relationship reflected the broader tensions of identity, loyalty, and self-understanding. One of the most profound moments in their reunion was the confrontation with the past, the recognition of mistakes, misunderstandings, and unspoken hurts. Their shared history, marked by moments of love and betrayal, was a testament to the difficulties of maintaining connection in a world full of judgment and limitation. Morrison's exploration of their relationship reveals the ways in which friendship can be both a sanctuary and a battleground. Nell and Sula embody the contradictions of human connection, how love can coexist with resentment, how closeness can bring both healing and harm. Throughout this time, the community itself served as a living character in the novel. The people of the bottom were not mere bystanders, but active participants in the unfolding drama. Their judgments, fears, and desires shaped the environment in which Nell and Sula lived and made their choices. The bottom's history of racial oppression, economic hardship, and social exclusion created a backdrop of pain and resilience. Morrison's depiction of this community is neither sentimental nor harshly cynical, but deeply empathetic, showing the complexity of lives lived on the margins. As the story moves forward, the paths of Nell and Sula continue to intersect and diverge, each woman grappling with her own desires, fears, and regrets. The tension between them grows, fueled by unspoken accusations and unmet needs. Their friendship becomes a mirror reflecting the broader human struggles with identity, belonging, and the search for meaning. In the next stages of the story, we will see how these tensions culminate in events that force both women and the community to confront the painful realities of their lives. Morrison's narrative invites us to hold these contradictions in our minds, to resist simple judgments, and to embrace the messy, often painful truths of human existence. Their story is not just about two women, but about the fragile and powerful bonds that connect us all, the ties that hold us together, and sometimes tear us apart. The return of Sula to the bottom stirred something in the community that had long lain dormant, a mix of curiosity, fear, resentment, and fascination. Her presence was like a gust of wind sweeping through the familiar streets, unsettling the settled dust and challenging the carefully maintained order. People whispered behind closed doors, some casting her as a temptress, others as a dangerous influence. She was no longer the girl who had run freely alongside Nell. She was a woman marked by the choices she had made and the freedom she insisted on claiming, regardless of cost. Sula's return forced Nell to confront not just the changes in her friend, but the ways in which she herself had changed during the years of separation. Nell's life, framed by her marriage to Jude and her role as a wife and mother, had followed the path Helene had envisioned for her, one of respectability, safety, and conformity. Yet beneath the surface of her orderly life, a restlessness lingered, born from the memory of Sula's fearless independence and the undeniable bond they had shared in childhood. Their reunion was bittersweet, charged with emotion, but also shadowed by unspoken grievances. Nell found herself caught between longing for the old closeness they once had and a simmering sense of betrayal. Sula, with her unapologetic defiance and refusal to adhere to the community's expectations, embodied everything Nell's life had not become, but perhaps secretly wished it could. The community's reaction to Sula's return was swift and harsh. Stories and rumors flourished, fueled by fear and misunderstanding. Sula was accused of all manner of transgressions, from promiscuity to witchcraft, and her very presence became a challenge to the moral order that the bottom's residents fought so hard to maintain. But Morrison invites readers to look beyond these accusations and understand Sula's complexity as a woman who refuses to be defined or confined. Sula's life had been marked by losses and betrayals that shaped her fierce independence. Her experience of abandonment, particularly by her mother Hannah, had left deep scars. Hannah's own defiance of convention and eventual death shaped much of Sula's worldview. Life was fragile, unpredictable, and often cruel. Sula's determination to live on her own terms was a response to this harsh reality, a refusal to be broken by it. Meanwhile, Nell's marriage to Jude began to reveal its own cracks. Jude, once a strong and reliable presence, became distant and unfaithful, drawn away by temptations that Nell could not control or fully understand. Their marriage, which had seemed a promise of stability, started to unravel quietly, exposing Nell to pain and disappointment. The safe, ordered life she had sought was slipping through her fingers, and with it, the illusions of security and control. The tension between Nell and Sula intensified as their lives intertwined again. Nell struggled to reconcile the woman Sula had become with the friend she remembered, while Sula challenged Nell to question the choices she had made. Their conversations were often fraught with emotion, accusations mingled with nostalgia, hurt mingled with love. The complexity of their friendship revealed the difficulty of truly knowing another person, even someone so close. Sula's refusal to conform extended beyond her personal behavior. She actively resisted the roles prescribed to women in the bottom. She rejected marriage and motherhood, the traditional markers of female identity in their community. Instead, she pursued a life of self-definition, marked by moments of cruelty, but also profound insight. Morrison presents Sula as a character who embodies contradictions. At once vulnerable and fierce, destructive and creative, isolated and deeply connected. One of the most poignant aspects of the story is how Sula's life intersects with the tragedies of those around her. She witnesses and sometimes catalyzes events that shake the community to its core. Her friendship with Nell is one such catalyst, a relationship that reveals both the possibilities and the limits of connection in a world shaped by racial oppression, gender expectations, and economic hardship. The novel explores how trauma and pain are passed down through generations and how they shape individual lives and community dynamics. The Bottom, as a place, is steeped in history. Its residents carry the weight of past injustices alongside their hopes and dreams. The characters' struggles are not isolated, but entwined with this larger social and historical context. Sula's return also reignites memories of Chicken Little, the boy who had drowned during their childhood. This event, a symbol of innocence lost and the unpredictability of life, haunted both Nell and Sula in different ways. It underscored the fragility of their world and the ways in which childhood trauma can ripple through a lifetime. The death of Chicken Little was a pivotal moment that shaped their understanding of loss and survival. As Sula re-enters the Bottom's social fabric, she challenges the community's boundaries not just through her behavior, but by embodying the idea that one can live beyond conventional limits. Her life becomes a mirror, reflecting the fears and desires of those around her, fear of difference, fear of freedom, but also a yearning for something beyond the constraints of daily survival. Nell's growing awareness of her own dissatisfaction and loneliness deepens as she watches Sula live boldly and without apology. Nell begins to question the sacrifices she has made for respectability and stability. she wonders whether the path she has chosen truly leads to happiness or simply to conformity and isolation. Their friendship, though strained, remains a central axis around which much of the story revolves. It highlights the complexities of female relationships, how they can be sources of strength and support, but also competition, misunderstanding, and pain. Morrison's portrayal is honest and unflinching, refusing to idealize, but also not condemning. At the same time, the community itself continues to evolve. Economic pressures and racial discrimination shape the lives of its residents, but so do moments of joy, resilience, and solidarity. The bottom is a living entity in the novel, a place where history and personal stories intertwine, where pain and hope coexist. As the narrative progresses, tensions escalate between Sula and Nell, reflecting broader themes of identity and belonging. Their divergent paths symbolize different responses to the pressures of race, gender, and class in mid-20th century America. Nell's adherence to convention and Sula's rebellion are not merely personal choices, but acts that resonate with the collective struggles of their community. Morrison's prose during this part of the story is both lyrical and piercing, capturing the emotional complexity of her characters and the rich textures of their world. The narrative voice moves effortlessly between past and present, weaving memories and events into a tapestry that reveals the full depth of human experience. The stage is set for the unfolding of events that will test the bonds of friendship and the limits of forgiveness. Nell and Sula's relationship, emblematic of so many others in the novel, will be tested by betrayal, pain, and ultimately, a search for understanding. Through the interplay of personal stories and communal history, Sula confronts the reader with difficult questions. What does it mean to be free? How do we reconcile loyalty with self-preservation? Can we ever truly escape the past? Morrison doesn't offer easy answers, but invites us to sit with these complexities, to recognize the messiness of human life and the power of connection, even amidst difference. As these themes deepen, the narrative moves towards a reckoning, not just for Nell and Sula, but for the community as a whole. The tensions and contradictions that have simmered beneath the surface are brought to light, demanding attention and reflection. This section of the story reveals the many layers of Sula, a novel about friendship, identity, community, and the painful beauty of human imperfection. The characters' struggles and triumphs invite us to reflect on our own lives, the choices we make, and the ties that bind us. As the years unfold in the bottom, the complicated relationship between Nell and Sula deepens, pulling them through a tangled web of loyalty, betrayal, and self-discovery. Their friendship, once unbreakable in childhood, is now tested by the different paths they have chosen and the burdens each carries. Nell clings to the ideals she learned growing up: stability, respectability, and the quiet dignity of a traditional life, while Sula embraces a more radical freedom, refusing to be confined by the roles imposed on her by society or by family. This divergence, at once painful and revealing, defines much of their interaction, exposing the limits of forgiveness and the complexity of love between women. Nell's marriage to Jude begins to deteriorate slowly but unmistakably. Jude, once a figure of strength and reliability, succumbs to weakness and infidelity. His betrayal cuts deep, not only because of the personal pain it causes Nell, but also because it represents a fracture in the very structure of her world. The marriage, which had seemed to promise security and companionship, instead becomes a site of loneliness and quiet suffering. Nell's attempts to hold it together, to maintain appearances for the sake of her children and the community, highlight the pressures on women to uphold family unity despite their own unhappiness. Meanwhile, Sula lives with a fierce independence that both fascinates and frightens those around her. She resists the expectations placed upon her as a woman in the bottom. She does not marry, does not bear children, and refuses to take part in the rituals of respectability. Instead, Sula embraces her own desires, often shocking the community with her unapologetic behavior. Her relationships with men are marked by an insistence on freedom and equality, rejecting the traditional dynamics of control and possession. Sula's life becomes a statement, a refusal to be anyone's property or prisoner. The community's judgment of Sula is harsh and unforgiving. She is labeled a troublemaker, a sinner, even a witch. Yet beneath the surface of these accusations lies a deeper fear of difference. Fear of a woman who refuses to conform, who threatens the fragile social order. Morrison deftly shows how communities can sometimes punish those who challenge their norms, using gossip and exclusion as weapons to maintain control. Sula's ostracism reveals the painful consequences of stepping outside accepted boundaries, especially for Black women in a world shaped by racial and gender oppression. As Nell observes Sula's bold defiance, she is forced to confront her own compromises. The tension between their lives, Nell's adherence to convention, and Sula's radical freedom raises questions about what it means to live authentically. Nell wonders if her pursuit of safety and acceptance has cost her something essential, while Sula's isolation prompts reflection on the price of rebellion. Their friendship becomes a mirror reflecting not only their personal choices, but also the broader challenges faced by women navigating love, identity, and power. The novel's portrayal of their friendship is nuanced and unflinching. Morrison does not romanticize their bond. Instead, she reveals its messiness, the misunderstandings, the resentments, and the moments of profound connection. This complexity makes their relationship resonate deeply, illustrating how friendships can be sources of both strength and pain. Nell and Sula embody different responses to the same oppressive forces, and their interactions illuminate the difficulties of solidarity in a world marked by scarcity and survival. One pivotal moment in the narrative occurs when Sula betrays Nell in a way that shatters the foundation of their friendship. Sula's brief affair with Jude is a devastating blow, a wound that cuts through Nell's trust and love. The betrayal is not merely personal, but symbolic. It represents the fracture between their divergent paths and values. Nell's reaction is one of profound hurt, but also of a growing awareness that their friendship, once a refuge, can also be a source of danger. This event changes everything, marking the end of their childhood intimacy and ushering in years of silence and separation. Yet even as their friendship fractures, Morrison suggests that the bond between Nell and Sula cannot be entirely broken. Their lives remain intertwined by memory, history, and the shared pain of loss. Nell, in particular, carries the weight of Sula's absence, haunted by the friend she once knew and the woman she has become. The novel explores how love and betrayal coexist, how wounds can both divide and connect us, and how the past continues to shape the present. Sula's character continues to evolve in ways that challenge easy categorization. Her refusal to conform is not simply rebellion for its own sake. It is a response to the deep wounds of abandonment and betrayal she has experienced. The death of her mother, Hannah, a woman who lived fiercely and unapologetically, profoundly influences Sula's understanding of life and death. Hannah's life and death underscore the novel's exploration of mortality and the human capacity to endure pain. The novel also delves into the broader context of race and community. The Bottom is a microcosm of African American life in the early 20th century, shaped by economic hardship, systemic racism, and cultural resilience. Morrison portrays the community with affection and realism, revealing both its strengths and its limitations. The residents of the Bottom navigate a world that is often hostile and unforgiving, finding ways to survive and support one another, even as they struggle with internal conflicts and divisions. Through the intertwined stories of Nell, Sula, and the Bottom, Morrison examines how personal and collective histories intersect. The legacy of slavery, segregation, and discrimination forms the backdrop against which the characters' lives unfold, shaping their opportunities and their choices. The novel confronts the ways in which social forces constrain individual freedom and how people resist, adapt, or succumb to these pressures. Sula's return to the Bottom after years away disrupts the community's fragile equilibrium. She brings with her a reminder of possibility and difference, forcing the residents to confront their own fears and desires. Some admire her courage and independence, while others condemn her as a threat. This duality reflects the complex ways in which communities respond to those who defy norms, both attracted to and repelled by difference. The narrative also explores themes of identity and self-definition. Sula's life raises questions about what it means to be a woman, a friend, a member of a community. Her choices challenge conventional notions of femininity and motherhood, prompting readers to reconsider the roles assigned to women and the consequences of resisting them. Morrison's portrayal is neither judgmental nor celebratory. Instead, it invites reflection on the multiplicity of female experience. Nell's journey is equally compelling. Her struggle to reconcile her love for Sula with her sense of betrayal mirrors the broader human struggle to balance connection and individuality. Nell's evolving understanding of herself and her friendship with Sula reflects the novel's deep engagement with the complexities of identity, memory, and forgiveness. As the story progresses, Morrison's prose continues to captivate with its lyrical intensity and emotional depth. The vivid descriptions of the Bottom, its streets, homes, and people create a rich sensory backdrop that brings the setting to life. The dialogue crackles with authenticity, capturing the rhythms of speech and the nuances of social interaction. At its core, this part of the story underscores the tension between conformity and freedom, between the safety of belonging and the risk of isolation. Nell and Sula's divergent paths embody these opposing impulses, each making sacrifices and facing consequences. Their relationship becomes a powerful lens through which Morrison explores the possibilities and limits of human connection. The stage is set for the continuing unraveling of events that will force both women to confront their deepest fears and desires. Their friendship, marked by love and pain, loyalty and betrayal, will continue to shape their lives and the lives of those around them. Morrison's exploration of these themes resonates beyond the specific setting of the bottom, speaking to universal questions about friendship, identity, and the search for meaning. In this section, Sula reveals itself as a profound meditation on the complexity of human relationships and the courage it takes to live authentically. Morrison invites readers to grapple with difficult truths and to appreciate the messy, often contradictory nature of life and love. The story's emotional power lies in its honesty, its refusal to simplify or sanitize the experiences of its characters, and its deep empathy for the human condition. As time advances in the bottom, the consequences of choices made by Sula and Nell ripple through their lives and the community, revealing the complicated interplay of fate, free will, and identity. Sula's return to the bottom after a long absence reignites old tensions and stirs up unresolved emotions among those who once knew her. The neighborhood, which had long settled into a rhythm of predictable routines and expectations, suddenly finds itself unsettled by the presence of a woman who refuses to be contained by conventional morality or social norms. Sula's reappearance is met with mixed reactions. Some residents are wary, even hostile, as they see her as a dangerous influence and a reminder of freedoms they have suppressed or sacrificed. Others are drawn to her magnetism, captivated by the fierce independence she embodies. Sula's life continues to defy easy categorization. She remains a paradoxical figure, both admired and feared, loved and shunned. Her presence forces the community to confront the contradictions within itself, exposing the fragile veneer of respectability that masks underlying pain, jealousy, and hypocrisy. In contrast, Nell's life has taken a very different trajectory. She has embraced the traditional roles expected of her wife, mother, caretaker, investing herself fully in the family she has built. Yet beneath the surface of this seemingly stable existence, there is a quiet dissatisfaction, a sense of loss for the friend who once understood her so deeply. Nell grapples with the painful memory of Sula's betrayal, her affair with Jude, an act that fractured their friendship and left a scar that time has not fully healed. Despite their estrangement, Nell finds herself haunted by Sula's absence and the complexities of their shared history. The two women represent different paths, yet their lives remain intertwined by memories, emotions, and the deep bond forged in childhood. Nell's reflections on Sula reveal her struggle to reconcile admiration and resentment, love and hurt, loyalty and betrayal. Morrison's portrayal of Nell's internal conflict is tender and nuanced, capturing the contradictions inherent in human relationships. Sula's own experience of life continues to be marked by solitude and defiance. Her rejection of societal expectations isolates her from much of the community, but it also grants her a sense of freedom unavailable to many around her. Sula refuses to apologize for her choices, or to conform to roles that feel constraining. She is unapologetically herself, a woman who demands to be seen and accepted on her own terms. This insistence challenges the community's rigid moral codes and invites reflection on the cost of such freedom. The novel explores the dynamics of power and vulnerability in relationships through Sula's interactions with others. Her unconventional lifestyle and refusal to adhere to social norms provoke fear and fascination. Sula's relationships with men are complex and often transient, marked by a refusal to submit to traditional roles of possession or control. These encounters illuminate broader themes of autonomy, desire, and the ways in which gender shapes experience. One of the novel's most poignant elements is its exploration of motherhood and female identity. Neither Sula nor Nell fits neatly into the expected molds of motherhood. Sula's rejection of motherhood and marriage contrasts sharply with Nell's embrace of these roles. Yet both women's experiences reveal the limitations and challenges imposed on women by society. Morrison delves into the emotional landscape of motherhood, its joys, sacrifices, and contradictions, without idealizing or condemning either choice. This balanced portrayal enriches the novel's examination of what it means to be a woman. The community's response to Sula also reveals the power of gossip, judgment, and exclusion as tools of control. Sula becomes a scapegoat for collective fears and insecurities, a target onto whom the community projects its anxieties about morality, loyalty, and survival. Morrison shows how communities can enforce conformity through ostracism, using social punishment to police behavior. Yet beneath this surface lies a deeper ambivalence. Many residents secretly admire Sula's courage even as they condemn her, revealing the tension between admiration for freedom and fear of difference. As the narrative progresses, the tension between Sula and Nell intensifies, especially as Nell confronts the lingering pain of their broken friendship. Nell's attempts to understand Sula's choices and her own feelings become a powerful emotional journey, one that underscores the complexity of love and forgiveness. Their relationship embodies the paradox of human connection, how love can both bind and wound, how memories can sustain and torment. Sula's illness and eventual death bring a new dimension to the story, forcing Nell and the community to reckon with loss, mortality, and the legacy of a life lived boldly. Sula's final days are marked by reflections on her own existence and the choices she has made. Her confrontation with death is not fearful, but accepting, a testament to her strength and self-awareness. Morrison uses this moment to explore themes of death and rebirth, suggesting that even in the face of mortality, there is dignity in living authentically. Nell's response to Sula's death is complex and deeply moving. She experiences grief not only for the friend she lost, but also for the unresolved pain and distance between them. Nell's journey toward forgiveness and understanding is one of the novel's most affecting arcs, illustrating how healing can emerge from acknowledging both love and betrayal. Morrison's portrayal of Nell's mourning is tender and honest, capturing the messiness of grief and the enduring power of memory. The novel's ending does not offer easy resolutions, but instead invites readers to reflect on the enduring tensions between community and individuality. conformity and rebellion, love and loss. Morrison's storytelling remains rich and layered, refusing to simplify the experiences of her characters or the complexities of their world. Instead, she leaves readers with a profound meditation on what it means to be human, flawed, complicated, and resilient. Throughout this portion of the story, the bottom itself remains a vital character, its streets and homes echoing with history, pain, and hope. The community's struggles and triumphs reflect broader social realities, capturing the impact of racism, poverty, and cultural heritage on individual lives. Morrison's vivid descriptions and careful attention to detail create a palpable sense of place, grounding the narrative in a tangible reality. The interplay between personal narrative and communal history enriches the novel's themes, showing how individual choices are shaped by, and in turn shape, the wider social context. Sula and Nell's lives are inseparable from the story of the bottom, a place that is both nurturing and limiting, a site of belonging and alienation. This duality echoes the novel's exploration of identity and the search for selfhood within complex social structures. Morrison's prose continues to captivate with its lyrical beauty and emotional depth. The language flows seamlessly, weaving together moments of intense feeling with sharp observations and symbolic imagery. This poetic quality enhances the novel's impact, making it not just a story, but an experience, immersive, thought-provoking, and deeply affecting. In the midst of conflict and pain, Sula also celebrates the resilience and creativity of its characters. Whether through music, storytelling, or acts of defiance, the people of the bottom find ways to assert their humanity and resist erasure. Morrison honors this spirit of survival and expression, reminding readers of the strength that lies in community and memory. The themes of this section, freedom and constraint, friendship and betrayal, life and death, resonate beyond the specific setting of the bottom, touching on universal human experiences. Morrison's exploration of these themes invites readers to consider their own relationships, choices, and values, encouraging empathy and reflection. As the narrative moves toward its conclusion, the evolving relationship between Nell and Sula remains central. Their story challenges simplistic notions of good and evil, right and wrong, revealing the rich complexity of human emotions and motivations. Morrison's nuanced characterization ensures that both women are fully realized, flawed, and compelling figures. In sum, this portion of Sula deepens the novel's exploration of identity, community, and the ties that bind. It highlights the costs and rewards of living authentically in a world that often demands conformity. Morrison's storytelling remains powerful and evocative, drawing readers into a richly textured world where friendship and betrayal, love and loss, hope and despair coexist in a fragile balance. The ripple effects of Sula's choices continue to shape the lives of those in the bottom, with each character grappling with their own battles of identity, loyalty, and survival. In the aftermath of Sula's death, Nell is left to navigate the chasms left by years of silence and misunderstanding. The weight of her memories and unresolved feelings presses heavily on her, stirring reflections that delve deep into the nature of friendship, forgiveness, and self-discovery. Nell's sense of self, long intertwined with Sula's, begins to shift as she confronts what their friendship truly meant. Sula, with all her contradictions, her rebelliousness, her refusal to conform, her fierce independence, served as both a mirror and a contrast to Nell's own life. Now, in Sula's absence, Nell must piece together her identity without the familiar counterpoint. Morrison illustrates this struggle with exquisite subtlety, showing how the dissolution of a friendship can feel like losing a part of oneself, and how reconciliation can emerge from this very loss. The narrative opens a window into Nell's internal journey as she seeks to understand Sula's life choices. Was Sula's defiance an act of selfishness or courage? A rejection of societal constraints, or a manifestation of profound loneliness? Nell's reflections reveal the complexity of human motives, resisting any easy judgment. She comes to see Sula not as a villain or a pariah, but as a woman who lived boldly and on her own terms, paying the price for her freedom. This understanding softens Nell's bitterness and allows her to reclaim a part of her own strength. While Nell wrestles with her memories, the community of the bottom continues to evolve, shaped by the forces of history, race, and economic hardship. Morrison's portrayal of the bottom is never static. It is a living, breathing entity, a microcosm of Black America's struggles and triumphs. The neighborhood's collective experiences, its joys, tragedies, betrayals, and moments of grace, echo the personal stories of Nell, Sula, and others. The interplay between individual and community remains central, emphasizing how lives are woven together in complex patterns. As Nell visits Sula's grave, the physical act of mourning becomes a catalyst for emotional release. She recalls the childhood moments they shared, their innocent games, whispered secrets, and the fierce loyalty that once bound them. These memories are tinged with pain, but also with a sense of preciousness, highlighting the enduring power of friendship even after it has fractured. Morrison's evocative prose captures this bittersweet nostalgia, portraying grief as both a deeply personal and a communal experience. The theme of forgiveness permeates this part of the story. Nell's forgiveness of Sula symbolizes not only a healing of their friendship, but also a reclaiming of Nell's own agency. By forgiving, Nell releases herself from the shackles of resentment and pain, allowing her to move forward with a renewed sense of self. This process underscores Morrison's broader exploration of the ways in which forgiveness, often difficult and complicated, can serve as a path toward liberation. Sula's death also prompts the community to reconsider its judgments and fears. Those who once ostracized her are forced to confront the consequences of their own intolerance and the loneliness that comes with rigid social codes. Morrison exposes the damaging effects of gossip and moral policing, showing how the community's fear of difference led to exclusion and misunderstanding. Yet she also acknowledges the community's need for order and belonging, highlighting the tension between individuality and social cohesion. The novel's exploration of morality deepens here, revealing it as a fluid and contested concept rather than a fixed standard. Sula's life challenges conventional notions of good and evil, right and wrong, suggesting that moral complexity is intrinsic to the human condition. Morrison invites readers to question the labels imposed by society and to consider the ways in which judgment often reflects fear and insecurity rather than truth. As Nell's reflections unfold, the novel revisits earlier moments of their childhood and adolescence, enriching the narrative with layered meanings. These flashbacks illuminate the formative experiences that shaped both women and the profound ways in which their friendship influenced their paths. Childhood, with its blend of innocence and cruelty, loyalty and betrayal, emerges as a critical theme, illustrating how early relationships cast long shadows over adult life. The presence of the river as a recurring symbol gains new significance here. Once a site of joy and play for Nell and Sula, the river becomes a metaphor for life's flow and the inevitability of change. It embodies both connection and separation, reflecting the fluid nature of identity and relationships. Morrison's use of natural imagery adds a poetic dimension to the narrative, enhancing its emotional resonance. The novel also continues to probe the intersections of race, gender, and class, which shape the experiences of the characters in profound ways. Sula and Nell's struggles are set against the backdrop of systemic racism and economic marginalization, forces that constrain their choices and complicate their desires. Morrison does not shy away from depicting the harsh realities of Black life in America, but she balances this with moments of joy, resilience, and solidarity. Within this context, the novel's female characters emerge as powerful agents of change and continuity. Morrison highlights the strength and complexity of Black womanhood, portraying its challenges and triumphs with nuance and empathy. The legacy of generations past and the hope for future ones intertwine, emphasizing the importance of history and memory in shaping identity. The emotional intensity of the story reaches a crescendo as Nell reconciles with the memory of Sula, recognizing the indelible mark her friend left on her life. This recognition brings a sense of closure, though not all wounds are fully healed. Morrison acknowledges that relationships are rarely neat or simple. They are messy, layered, and often unresolved. This honesty is part of what makes Sula resonate so deeply. Morrison's narrative style remains lyrical and evocative, drawing readers into the intimate inner worlds of her characters. Her prose balances poetic imagery with sharp psychological insight, creating a reading experience that is both immersive and intellectually stimulating. The story's rhythm flows seamlessly, weaving past and present, memory and reality, in a tapestry rich with meaning. In this portion of the novel, the themes of love and loss, identity and transformation, community and isolation are all brought into sharp relief. The characters' journeys underscore the universal human quest for connection and understanding amid the complexities of life. Morrison's storytelling invites readers not only to witness, but to feel the emotional landscape of the bottom and its inhabitants. Ultimately, this segment of Sula deepens the novel's meditation on what it means to be human, flawed, resilient, and searching for meaning in a world that often feels indifferent. It highlights the power of memory and forgiveness as tools for healing and growth, while also honoring the pain and struggle inherent in these processes. Morrison's work challenges readers to embrace complexity, to hold contradictions, and to recognize the profound beauty in imperfection. As Nell continues her journey towards self-understanding, the legacy of her friendship with Sula remains a guiding force, a source of both pain and strength. Their story is a testament to the enduring power of human connection, the possibility of redemption, and the necessity of embracing one's true self, no matter the cost. the story moves into a deeper exploration of how the choices of one person can reverberate through a community, shaping not just individual lives, but the collective spirit of a place. Sula's return to the bottom after years away is like a stone dropped into still water. The ripples unsettle everything, exposing long buried tensions and unspoken truths. Her presence challenges the community's fragile sense of order, forcing its members to confront the fears and hypocrisies they have long suppressed. Sula comes back not as the girl who ran away, but as a woman who has shaped herself through experiences far beyond the bottom's narrow confines. She embodies defiance and freedom, living by her own rules and refusing to be bound by conventional morality. This return is marked by a confrontation with the community's expectations, a clash between the individual's right to self-expression and the collective's need for conformity. Morrison paints Sula as both a disruptor and a mirror, reflecting the contradictions inherent in the community itself. The townspeople's reactions to Sula's return are mixed and complex. Some see her as a threat, a symbol of danger and chaos, while others are drawn to her magnetic energy and fearless independence. This ambivalence highlights the precarious balance between acceptance and exclusion in tight-knit communities. Morrison uses these reactions to delve into themes of belonging and alienation, exploring how fear of difference often breeds suspicion and rejection. At the center of this tension is the figure of Eva Peace, Sula's grandmother, whose stern but loving presence anchors much of the story's moral complexity. Eva is a woman shaped by hardship and sacrifice, whose own choices, sometimes brutal, reflect a deep commitment to survival and family. Her relationship with Sula is fraught, marked by moments of tenderness and conflict. Through Eva, Morrison examines the weight of generational legacy and the ways in which trauma and resilience are passed down. Eva's role as matriarch is complicated by her harsh methods and uncompromising spirit. She embodies a form of strength that is both protective and punishing, shaped by the demands of poverty and racial oppression. Her actions, while sometimes shocking, are motivated by a fierce love and a desire to shield her family from harm. This portrayal adds nuance to the novel's exploration of motherhood, authority, and sacrifice. Sula's relationship with her mother, Hannah, also comes into sharper focus. Hannah's sensuality and carefree attitude stand in contrast to Eva's austerity, representing a different model of womanhood, one that embraces pleasure and defies convention. Yet, Hannah's life is not without pain or consequence, and her relationship with Sula is marked by ambivalence. Morrison uses their interactions to explore themes of desire, freedom, and the complexities of maternal love. As Sula reconnects with the people of the bottom, she stirs up old memories and unsettles established dynamics. Her friendship with Nell, once unbreakable, becomes strained and distant, shaped by years of separation and unspoken grievances. Their bond, once a source of joy and strength, now reflects the fragility of human relationships and the difficulty of forgiveness. Morrison's portrayal of their fractured friendship is poignant and raw, revealing how time and choices can alter even the deepest connections. The narrative delves into Nell's inner world, revealing her struggle to reconcile the woman she has become with the girl who once shared secrets and dreams with Sula. Nell's journey is one of self-examination, as she confronts her own compromises and the ways in which she has conformed to societal expectations. Morrison contrasts Nell's conventional path with Sula's rebellion, highlighting the tension between safety and risk, conformity and freedom. Morrison also expands the novel's focus to include other residents of the bottom, weaving a tapestry of lives interconnected by history, community, and shared hardship. Characters like Shadrach, the traumatized war veteran who creates the National Suicide Day ritual, embody the lasting scars of violence and the search for meaning in a chaotic world. His story adds a layer of surreal poignancy, illustrating the struggle to reclaim agency in the aftermath of trauma. The motif of death continues to loom over the narrative, shaping the characters' experiences and outlooks. Death is portrayed not only as an end, but as a presence that haunts the living, influencing their choices and relationships. Morrison treats mortality with a blend of realism and spirituality, suggesting that death and life are intertwined in an ongoing cycle. This theme deepens the novel's meditation on loss, memory, and the passage of time. As Sula's influence spreads, the community's moral certainties begin to unravel. Morrison challenges readers to question the binary oppositions of good and evil, right and wrong, suggesting that human behavior exists in shades of gray. Sula herself embodies this ambiguity, neither saint nor sinner, but a fully realized human being whose actions reflect the complexities of survival and identity. The narrative's richly textured descriptions bring the bottom vividly to life, from the bustling streets to the quiet corners where secrets are kept. Morrison's prose is lyrical and evocative, capturing both the beauty and the hardships of the setting. The bottom is more than a backdrop. It is a character in its own right, shaping and being shaped by the lives within it. Through the characters' interactions, the novel explores themes of power and vulnerability. Sula's boldness unsettles those around her because it threatens established hierarchies and exposes unspoken fears. Her refusal to conform is an act of resistance, asserting a claim to autonomy in a world that seeks to control and define her. Morrison portrays this struggle with empathy, showing the costs and rewards of such defiance. The emotional core of the story intensifies as Sula and Nell's paths converge and diverge, revealing the enduring impact of childhood bonds and the pain of betrayal. Their friendship serves as a lens through which broader themes of love, loss, and identity are examined. Morrison's skillful characterization ensures that these themes resonate deeply, inviting readers to reflect on their own relationships and choices. In this part of the narrative, the novel's feminist undertones become more pronounced. Morrison highlights the challenges faced by Black women navigating intersecting oppressions of race, gender, and class. Sula's character challenges traditional gender roles and societal expectations, asserting a form of empowerment that is radical and uncompromising. This portrayal expands the novel's significance, linking personal struggles to larger social and political issues. Morrison's storytelling remains immersive and fluid, blending dialogue, memory, and reflection to create a rich emotional landscape. The narrative's pacing balances moments of quiet introspection with scenes of intense drama, maintaining engagement while allowing space for nuance and depth. The reader is drawn into the characters' inner worlds, experiencing their hopes, fears, and contradictions. As the story unfolds, the themes of identity and transformation continue to evolve. Sula's journey is one of self-definition against the odds, a quest for authenticity that defies easy categorization. Nell's path offers a contrasting vision, one of negotiation and compromise within societal constraints. Together, their stories illuminate the diverse ways individuals respond to the pressures and possibilities of their environment. The complex interplay between past and present, memory and reality, adds layers of meaning to the narrative. Morrison's use of nonlinear storytelling and rich symbolism invites readers to engage actively with the text, piecing together the mosaic of experiences that shape the characters. This narrative strategy deepens the emotional impact and underscores the novel's thematic richness. By the end of this section, the tension between community and individuality reaches a critical point. Sula's presence forces the bottom to confront its own limitations and fears, revealing the cost of conformity and the price of difference. Morrison's exploration of these dynamics is both compassionate and unflinching, offering no simple answers, but encouraging reflection and dialogue. The novel's portrayal of friendship, identity, and community continues to resonate, highlighting the enduring human need for connection and understanding. Morrison's characters are flawed yet compelling, their struggles universal in their specificity. This part of the story deepens the reader's investment in their journeys, setting the stage for the unfolding climax. Throughout, Morrison's prose shines with poetic intensity and psychological insight. Her language captures the rhythms of everyday life while probing the depths of emotion and thought. The novel's richly drawn characters and evocative setting combine to create a work that is both intimate and expansive, personal and political. As the narrative moves forward, the themes of freedom, responsibility, and reconciliation loom large. Sula's story challenges readers to consider the costs of living authentically in a world that demands conformity, and the possibility of finding peace through understanding and acceptance. Morrison's artistry ensures that these questions remain alive and urgent, inviting ongoing engagement and reflection. The tension between Sula and the Bottoms community grows ever more palpable, a complex dance of fear, admiration, resentment, and misunderstanding. Sula's unapologetic refusal to live by the town's rules unsettles everyone, forcing them to reckon with their own fears of freedom and difference. In a place where survival often depends on conformity, her defiant independence threatens the fragile order that holds the community together. Morrison deepens this conflict by revealing how Sula's return not only disrupts external relationships, but also ignites internal struggles within the residents, exposing buried guilt, desire, and shame. Sula's friendship with Nell, once the bright thread stitching their childhood dreams, is now strained by unspoken betrayals and divergent paths. Nell embodies the conventional life, marriage, motherhood, and social acceptance, while Sula represents a fearless rejection of those very norms. Their reunification is tinged with nostalgia, but clouded by resentment and misunderstanding. The years apart have hardened Nell in ways Sula cannot fully comprehend, while Nell views Sula's choices as reckless and selfish. Morrison's portrayal of their fractured friendship captures the painful reality of how time and experience can transform even the closest bonds. This tension reflects a larger theme in the novel: the complex interplay between individuality and community, freedom and responsibility. Sula's life is an act of rebellion against the limits imposed by race, gender, and class. Yet her rebellion isolates her, rendering her an outsider in the very community that shaped her. Morrison invites readers to consider what it means to break free from social expectations, and at what cost. The novel refuses simple judgments, instead offering a nuanced meditation on the sacrifices and consequences of living authentically in a world that demands conformity. Meanwhile, the community's suspicion of Sula grows more pronounced. She becomes a figure of mythic menace, the other against whom everyone defines themselves. Her reputation is colored by rumors and fear. Accusations of promiscuity, betrayal, and moral corruption swirl around her, often exaggerated and distorted. Morrison shows how communities often construct scapegoats to channel their anxieties and maintain order. Sula is both feared and misunderstood, a symbol onto which the bottom projects its darkest fears and desires. The novel also deepens its exploration of the bottom itself, a place both vibrant and troubled, marked by history, poverty, and resilience. Morrison's prose vividly evokes the rhythms of life there, the sounds of children playing, the hum of everyday conversations, the textures of the landscape. The bottom is a character in its own right, its identity inseparable from the people who inhabit it. It is a place of contradictions, joy and pain, solidarity and isolation, hope and despair. This setting grounds the story's universal themes in a specific, richly imagined world. Sula's relationship with her mother, Hannah, becomes a mirror for understanding her own defiance and complexity. Hannah's sensuality and carefree spirit, often dismissed by the community, are revealed to be expressions of survival and self-possession. She refuses to be confined by traditional roles, and in doing so, she imparts to Sula a legacy of courage and resistance. Yet, Hannah's life is marked by loneliness and loss, underscoring the costs of living outside societal expectations. Morrison explores these contradictions with compassion, painting a portrait of womanhood that is both powerful and vulnerable. Eva Peace's presence looms large as well, her actions a source of both guidance and pain. Her decision years earlier to sacrifice her own leg to save her children remains a symbol of the brutal choices demanded by poverty and love. Eva's complex morality challenges readers to reconsider conventional ideas of right and wrong. She is a figure of strength and sacrifice, but also of harshness and control. Through Eva, Morrison probes the burdens borne by those who assume responsibility for others in a harsh world. Amidst this, the motif of death and loss continues to weave through the narrative. The novel confronts mortality with unflinching honesty, revealing how death shapes identity, memory, and community. Morrison's treatment of death is neither romanticized nor sanitized. It is a force that disrupts and transforms, a reminder of life's fragility and urgency. Characters' responses to death reveal their fears, hopes, and unresolved pain, adding emotional depth to the story. Morrison also broadens her focus to examine the experiences of other residents of the bottom, enriching the narrative with diverse perspectives. Shadrach, the war veteran who established National Suicide Day, embodies the lasting scars of trauma and the search for order amid chaos. His ritual, though unsettling, offers a moment of communal acknowledgement of death's inevitability. Shadrach's story adds a surreal, almost mystical dimension to the novel, underscoring the psychological impact of violence and the human need for coping mechanisms. Through these intertwining stories, Morrison interrogates the boundaries of morality and judgment. Sula's life challenges binary notions of good and evil, right and wrong. She exists in a liminal space where actions cannot be easily categorized, inviting readers to embrace complexity and ambiguity. Morrison's nuanced characterization resists moralizing, instead presenting human beings in all their contradictions and imperfections. The evolving dynamic between Sula and Nell provides a poignant lens through which the novel's central themes are explored. Their friendship, marked by love, betrayal, and longing, captures the bittersweet reality of human connection. Morrison portrays this relationship with psychological acuity and emotional honesty, making their experiences feel intimate and universal. The tension between them highlights the difficulties of forgiveness and the enduring impact of shared histories. Feminist themes become more pronounced as the narrative progresses. Morrison portrays the intersecting oppressions of race, gender, and class that shape the lives of Black women in the bottom. Sula's character defies traditional gender roles and expectations, asserting a radical form of empowerment that unsettles the status quo. Her refusal to be defined by patriarchal or communal norms challenges readers to rethink assumptions about autonomy, sexuality, and identity. The prose remains rich and evocative, blending lyrical description with sharp psychological insight. Morrison's language captures the textures and rhythms of everyday life while probing the depths of emotion and thought. The bottom pulses with life through her words, becoming both a place of memory and a stage for transformation. As the narrative builds, themes of freedom and responsibility come to the forefront. Sula's radical independence forces the community to grapple with uncomfortable truths about conformity, judgment, and acceptance. Morrison's portrayal of these tensions is empathetic and unflinching, inviting readers to consider the costs and rewards of living authentically in a world that often demands sacrifice. The novel's exploration of identity deepens, revealing the fluid and evolving nature of selfhood. Sula's journey is one of self-assertion and transformation, a quest for meaning that resists easy categorization. Nell's contrasting path offers insight into the compromises and adaptations required to navigate societal expectations. Together, their stories illuminate the diverse ways individuals negotiate freedom and belonging. Memory and history remain central motifs, shaping the characters' experiences and the community's collective consciousness. Morrison's use of nonlinear storytelling and symbolism enriches the narrative, inviting readers to engage actively with the text. This layered approach underscores the interconnectedness of past and present, individual and community. By the end of this section, the tension between Sula's outsider status and the community's desire for order reaches a critical moment. Her presence challenges the bottom's fragile equilibrium, exposing the costs of fear and exclusion. Morrison's exploration of these themes is both nuanced and compelling, provoking reflection on the nature of difference and the possibility of reconciliation. The relationships, conflicts, and emotions woven through this part of the story deepen the reader's connection to the characters and their world. Morrison's storytelling remains immersive, balancing dramatic tension with moments of introspection. The narrative's richness and complexity continue to engage and provoke thought, setting the stage for the story's unfolding resolution. The passage of time brings profound changes to the bottom, and with them, the story of Sula and Nell approaches its inevitable reckoning. The deep, complex friendship that once anchored both women now trembles under the weight of years, filled with pain, misunderstanding, and missed opportunities. Morrison carefully peels back layers of memory and regret to reveal the emotional fissures that have long divided them. Yet beneath it all lies a yearning for connection that neither can fully articulate or escape. Sula's return to the bottom years ago was more than a physical homecoming. It was a challenge to the community's very foundations. Her presence unsettled the careful balance of acceptance and rejection that defined the town's social fabric. People whispered about her past actions, the rumors growing into a dark mythology that cast her as a figure of danger and moral ambiguity. Morrison uses these collective fears and fantasies to explore how societies construct narratives to contain what they do not understand. How Sula becomes a symbol, both feared and envied. Nell, on the other hand, remains firmly rooted in the values and expectations of the community. Her life has followed a more conventional path: marriage, motherhood, and the quiet maintenance of social respectability. Yet beneath this surface lies a simmering dissatisfaction, a sense of loss that lingers despite appearances. Morrison reveals Nell's internal struggles with an honesty that cuts through the veneer of normalcy, exposing the compromises and sacrifices demanded by the roles she inhabits. Her friendship with Sula, though fractured, remains a silent pulse in her life, a reminder of a freedom she both envies and fears. The novel reaches one of its most poignant moments in the confrontation between Sula and Nell, a meeting charged with decades of history, pain, and unresolved emotions. The tension is palpable, a collision of two women shaped by the same roots but diverging paths. Morrison writes this encounter with a tenderness and intensity that captures the complexity of female friendship, its capacity to heal and to wound, to sustain and to destroy. Sula's unapologetic defiance continues to challenge Nell's world. Their dialogue reveals the deep contradictions in their characters and the social forces that have shaped them. Nell accuses Sula of selfishness and betrayal, while Sula sees Nell's life as a surrender to fear and conformity. Yet beneath their accusations lies a shared longing for understanding, forgiveness, and the reclaiming of a lost part of themselves. This confrontation is not merely personal, it embodies the larger themes of the novel, reflecting the tension between individuality and community, freedom and belonging. As their conversation unfolds, memories flood back, moments of childhood innocence, joy, and betrayal. Morrison masterfully weaves these recollections into the present, blurring the boundaries between past and present to show how memory shapes identity. The women's shared history is a tapestry of laughter, pain, secrets, and desires that continues to bind them despite the distance time and choices have imposed. Meanwhile, the bottom itself continues to evolve, a living backdrop to the unfolding drama. The community's resilience and struggles reflect the broader African American experience, a history marked by oppression, endurance, and the quest for dignity. Morrison's descriptions of the neighborhood are vivid and textured, capturing both its beauty and its hardships. The bottom is a place where history is palpable, where the legacy of slavery and segregation is felt in every street and home. Sula's reputation in the community remains conflicted. While many still view her with suspicion and fear, others recognize her as a symbol of courage and resistance. Morrison complicates the notion of villainy, refusing to reduce Sula to a simple antagonist. Instead, she presents her as a fully realized human being, flawed and complex, whose choices challenge conventional morality. This nuanced portrayal encourages readers to question their own assumptions about judgment and forgiveness. The novel also deepens its exploration of themes related to identity, especially the intersections of race, gender, and class. Sula's life defies the restrictive roles imposed on Black women in her community. Her sexuality, independence, and refusal to conform threaten the social order, but they also embody a radical assertion of selfhood. Morrison's portrayal of Sula invites reflection on the ways in which marginalized individuals navigate systems of power and oppression, often at great personal cost. Nell's role as a mother and wife is portrayed with similar complexity. Her choices reflect both societal pressures and personal desires, illustrating the difficult balancing act faced by many women. Morrison reveals the ways in which Nell's identity is shaped by the expectations placed upon her and the compromises she makes in order to survive and protect those she loves. The tension between Nell and Sula can be seen as a broader commentary on the divergent paths available to women within patriarchal and racialized societies. The motif of death and loss continues to reverberate throughout the story. Morrison does not shy away from the brutal realities of mortality and grief, portraying them with stark honesty and emotional depth. Characters confront the deaths of loved ones, the loss of innocence, and the fading of dreams. These experiences shape their identities and relationships, underscoring the fragile and transient nature of life. At the heart of the narrative is the enduring question of what it means to live authentically. Sula's refusal to be constrained by social norms is both her greatest strength and her deepest source of isolation. Morrison portrays this paradox with empathy, showing how the pursuit of freedom can lead to alienation. Nell's contrasting path illustrates the cost of conformity, highlighting the tensions between safety and self-expression. The novel's climax brings these themes into sharp focus. Sula's death, when it comes, is both a moment of tragedy and of revelation. It forces the community, and Nell in particular, to confront their feelings about her. Feelings that are complicated by guilt, admiration, fear, and regret. Morrison's depiction of Sula's passing is quiet and profound, marked by a sense of loss that transcends individual lives to touch on universal human experiences. In the aftermath, Nell reflects on their shared past and the ways in which Sula's life challenged and changed her. This reflection is a moment of reckoning, an acknowledgement of the enduring impact of friendship, betrayal, and forgiveness. Morrison's prose here is tender and evocative, capturing the bittersweet nature of memory and the complexity of human connection. The novel closes on an ambiguous note, leaving readers to wrestle with the questions it raises about identity, community, and morality. Morrison does not offer easy answers, but instead invites contemplation and dialogue. The story of Sula and Nell lingers, a powerful meditation on the ties that bind and the forces that divide. Throughout, Morrison's storytelling remains immersive and compelling. Her characters are vividly drawn, their emotions and struggles rendered with psychological depth and lyrical beauty. The bottom comes alive as a setting, its history and culture intricately woven into the narrative fabric. Themes of race, gender, love, and loss resonate with universal significance, making Sula a work that speaks across time and place. As the story unfolds to its conclusion, it becomes clear that Sula is not just a tale of two women, but a profound exploration of what it means to be human, to seek connection, to confront fear, to live with courage and vulnerability. Morrison's novel challenges readers to embrace complexity and ambiguity, to see beyond simplistic labels and judgments. It is a testament to the power of literature to illuminate the depths of human experience. The final chapter of Sula brings the novel's themes and characters into a full circle, weaving together the threads of memory, identity, and reconciliation in a way that is both haunting and deeply moving. Morrison closes her story not with neat resolutions, but with the kind of ambiguity that mirrors the complexity of real life, a reflection on how the past shapes the present, and how love and pain are often inseparable. After Sula's death, the community's view of her begins to shift. For years, she had been a figure of fear, suspicion, and gossip, a woman who refused to conform to the norms of the bottom and dared to live on her own terms. But in death, the layers of myth and judgment start to peel away, revealing a more nuanced truth. The people who once vilified her are forced to confront the parts of themselves that she embodied: independence, courage, and an unflinching honesty that unsettled the comfortable illusions of conformity. Nell, who has carried the heavy burden of their fractured friendship and unresolved anger, experiences a profound transformation. In the quiet aftermath of Sula's passing, Nell reflects on the years they shared, the bond that was both their greatest strength and their deepest wound. Morrison captures Nell's internal journey with a tenderness that evokes the bittersweet nature of memory. Nell's realization that Sula was never truly the villain she was made out to be is a powerful moment of reconciliation, not just with Sula, but with herself. This moment of reflection leads Nell to a poignant understanding of what Sula represented in her life. Sula was a mirror, showing Nell parts of herself she had long suppressed or denied. The boldness and rebellion that Sula embodied challenged Nell to question the limits she had accepted. Their friendship was, in essence, a struggle between freedom and security, chaos and order, self-expression and social expectation. Nell's recognition of this dynamic deepens the novel's exploration of identity and the many ways people seek to define themselves. Morrison's prose here is rich and evocative, inviting readers to feel the emotional weight of Nell's memories and regrets. The past is alive and vivid, and it carries with it the sounds, smells, and textures of the bottom, the place that shaped both women in profound ways. The community, too, is a character in its own right, embodying the collective history and cultural landscape that influences every choice and relationship. Throughout the novel, death and loss have loomed large, and the final chapters underscore their inevitability. Morrison treats these themes with unflinching honesty, showing how grief can isolate but also transform. Sula's death is not just the end of a life, it is a catalyst for truth and healing, forcing those who remain to confront uncomfortable realities about themselves and their community. The novel's ending also brings into focus the cyclical nature of life and history. Morrison suggests that the experiences of Sula and Nell are part of a larger pattern. The repeated struggles of individuals and communities to find meaning, connection, and agency in a world often shaped by forces beyond their control. This cyclical motif resonates deeply, inviting reflection on the ways in which the past echoes into the present and the future. One of the most striking aspects of the conclusion is Morrison's refusal to simplify or resolve the tensions she has laid out. Sula remains a complex figure, neither wholly hero nor villain, but a person whose life defies easy categorization. This complexity challenges readers to embrace ambiguity and to resist the urge to judge harshly. It is a call to empathy and understanding, urging us to see the full humanity in others, especially those who live differently from ourselves. The themes of friendship and betrayal come full circle as well. Nell and Sula's relationship, with all its pain and passion, stands as a testament to the power of human connection. It shows how friendships can shape our identities, reveal hidden truths, and endure even through distance and misunderstanding. Morrison's portrayal is honest and raw, capturing both the beauty and the fragility of these bonds. Race and community remain central to the narrative's emotional core. The bottom is portrayed as a place of resilience and contradiction, where history and identity are in constant dialogue. Morrison's depiction highlights the unique challenges faced by Black communities, the weight of history, the complexity of social roles, and the ongoing struggle for self-definition. Yet within this struggle, there is also joy, humor, and a fierce vitality that shines through the novel's darkest moments. Morrison's skillful blending of the personal and the political is evident in the way the story honors individual experience while situating it within a broader social context. Sula is as much about the intimate lives of its characters as it is about the collective history that shapes them. This dual focus gives the novel its profound emotional resonance and its enduring relevance. The novel's final image of Nell standing alone in the street, reflecting on Sula's life and death, is haunting and beautiful. It captures the solitude that often accompanies self-discovery and the complex feelings that linger after loss. Yet there is also a sense of release and possibility, a quiet affirmation of the ways in which love and memory persist. In closing, Sula is a masterful exploration of the human condition, told through the lens of two unforgettable women whose lives intertwine with the fate of their community. Toni Morrison's novel challenges readers to confront difficult questions about identity, morality, and belonging, while celebrating the richness and complexity of African American life. it remains a vital work for its fearless examination of friendship, freedom, and the costs of both. Morrison's prose is lyrical yet grounded, her characters vivid and deeply human, and her themes universal yet rooted in a specific cultural reality. Sula invites us to look beyond black and white judgments and to embrace the messy, beautiful complexity of what it means to be alive. As the story closes, the echoes of Sula and Nell's lives linger in the reader's mind, a reminder of the power of literature to reveal hidden truths, to challenge, to heal, and to connect. Their story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring bonds of friendship, even when those bonds are tested by betrayal and time. Reading Hours invites you to reflect on this powerful narrative, to consider how its themes resonate in your own life, and to celebrate the extraordinary artistry of Toni Morrison, whose work continues to inspire and provoke thought across generations. Sula is not just a story to be told, but a journey to be felt, a mirror held up to ourselves and the world around us. Toni Morrison's Sula is a profound meditation on friendship, identity, and the intricate ties that bind people to their communities and to themselves. Through the entwined lives of Sula and Nell, Morrison explores how choices shape us, how love and betrayal coexist, and how the struggle for personal freedom often collides with societal expectations. The novel's richly layered narrative refuses easy answers, instead presenting complex characters who embody the contradictions and challenges of the human experience. At its heart, Sula challenges readers to confront the boundaries placed on women, especially Black women, in mid-20th century America, and to reconsider the definitions of good and evil, loyalty and betrayal. Morrison's masterful storytelling reveals how social norms and historical forces impact individual lives, while also celebrating the fierce independence and resilience that emerge in response. The bottom, as both setting and symbol, grounds the story in a community shaped by its history, yet alive with possibility and struggle. The friendship between Sula and Nell remains one of literature's most compelling portraits of connection, marked by affection, rivalry, pain, and growth. Their relationship captures the complexity of human bonds, reminding us that love can both wound and heal, and that understanding often comes only after loss. Sula continues to resonate because it confronts universal themes with honesty and poetic depth. Its impact reaches far beyond its time, influencing generations of readers and writers by pushing boundaries in narrative and subject matter. Morrison's work opens doors to conversations about race, gender, morality, and the nature of freedom that remain urgent and relevant today. In celebrating Sula, we celebrate Toni Morrison's unparalleled ability to illuminate the unseen corners of the human heart and society. Her novel is a testament to the power of storytelling to challenge, to empathize, and to endure. For anyone seeking a story that is at once intimate and expansive, painful and beautiful, Sula stands as a timeless masterpiece, inviting us to reflect on who we are, where we come from, and what it truly means to be free.